Okay, part two is creating a background for your image. So the next thing we're going to do is add a background to the ball. Remember back in video one, we showed the animation of the ball coming down. So all we're going to do is create a new layer. And in that new layer, we are going to just add the background. So I'm going to start with the sky since I already have blue there, I guess. So we're just going to make sky and grass. I'm going to change this color of blue up just a little bit, just so it doesn't mix with the ball too much. So again, I want to pick a light and a dark color blue. I'm going to use my gradient tool. I'm going to apply the gradient in with the sky. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on the bottom half. And I'm going to pick a grass color. So light green, dark green, include my gradient into the bottom. Let's use a linear gradient instead. And now you'll notice it only appears in the first frame. So to add them into the other frames, all I'm going to do is I'm going to hold shift to select every one of my frames up top. And I'm just going to make that background layer visible. So now you'll notice when I click on any frame, I have the background that appears in here. Now the second thing we can do is we can make a background look like it's moving. So if we want this ball to look like it's moving across or something in the background is moving, all I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this background for right now. So I'm just going to select everything and hide that background layer. I have to open up a new document because I want to make it almost like a panoramic view where it has everything, but some of it's going to be hidden because this is only 6 inches wide by 4 inches tall. So I'm going to create a new document. And instead of only going 6 inches wide, I'm going to maybe make this one 15 inches wide and click create. Now you'll notice it's long and skinny. So what I can do is go back in and just add in kind of what I showed you before with the sky in the background. But notice it's a lot longer. Picture as I'm filling this in, I'm going to kind of explain it. Picture this as the big long background and you're only seeing part of it at a time. So when I fill this in, when I use my selection tool, this right here is basically going to be that original image where the ball was coming in. So all this area is hidden and we're going to take it and move it and slide it across. To show you how that's done is I'm just going to go ahead and add in a few objects here just for the sake of demonstration. I'm not going to be too meticulous about the actual design itself, but maybe we have just kind of a rock placed in this area. Maybe we'll burn that rock a little bit just to kind of create some shadowing. Now maybe along with this rock, I have a tree that's put in this area. So again, I'm just going to use this. You can copy and paste items in as well. Just for this one, for the demo here, I'm just going to draw them in. So I have this tree right here, kind of a little gnarly bark. You can go in and add in some gradients, some shadowing as well. Then maybe now I add some tree top to it. So I'm going to use my brush tool again. Really fancy tree. And then maybe I can add in some of those highlights again by burning some areas to give the tree some depth. Last thing is maybe I'll put in a little pond. We'll just make a little circular pond here. So I have a little elliptical tool. Let's put some water in there. Use our gradient again. So now I have a rock, a tree, and a pool. Okay, now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to select this whole layer. So I'm going to go up to select and all. So I have this whole section selected. Then I'm going to go to edit and copy. So I can copy everything that I see in there. Now I'm going to go back to my other layer that I was just doing. And I'm going to go up to edit and paste. And what that'll do is that'll paste that whole image into my document. Now you'll notice when I click on my next frame and I bring that visible, I'm just going to use my mover tool. Sometimes I like putting a guideline in. Let's just go to the front edge of the rock. Let's go to the back edge. So that way I know where that was placed in my original. Now when I hold shift, it keeps it from bouncing up and down. I can just slightly move my background. And I'm going to move this guideline with it. So now when I bring back the next layer, I know that was my last spot. So I'm going to move it a little bit further. So now all I'm going to do is each time I add this background into this layer, and this is something you're going to have to manually do just because we already used the tween button to create that ball bouncing. So I'm going to go through and keep adding these in here and just keep moving that rock along as we go. Notice how the ball is starting to move down. Every now and then I'll just double check and make sure that I get movement from frame 5 to frame 6 and it's still moving the right direction. Again, I'm going to move my guideline tool over a little bit. I'm going to add my background back in, and I'm just going to keep sliding it slightly where I'm moving it forward from this guideline. Remember, again, I'm moving that guideline forward just so I can make sure that this is always creating movement from one slide to the next. So I'm going to go ahead and keep adding these in here. You notice it will take a little while to get everything added in, but now you see my pond is starting to come into the picture. Now maybe I move my guideline to where my pond is, just because as we get going, that rock is going to slowly disappear. Now I just want to make sure that my pond is always going to be in front of that guideline. Can't remember if I moved the guideline. I did. So again, I'm just going to slide the guideline up a little bit. Move this forward a little bit more. We'll do a couple more and then I'll show you what it looks like when we animate and play it. Two more. All right. So now let's go back to the beginning. I'm going to move this up just so we can kind of view it. Now when I hit play, the ball is going to be bouncing down and bouncing back up, and this background is going to be moving as the ball is bouncing and moving. We didn't add the background to the other layers, so that's why it's blank, but you can continue to add things in. So that is how you add a background and also add a moving background into your animation.